let's talk about how our homeschool went for the month of October. Welcome to this House of Walls. My name is Ashley, and yeah, like I said, we're gonna kind of chat through some things that went well and things that changed for the month of October for our homeschool. I am on the tail end of a cold, but still a little stuffy, so if I sound stuffy, that is why. Overall, October went really well. I think we had a lot of wins. We were able to take a week off of school and celebrate my oldest turning 14, which is crazy. We were able to take time and do some fun fall activities. We saw some family. It was just overall a good month. We did have 1 week of school where I will link the video down below, but I had to kind of play around with our schedule because we were going to be having a busy week. And in that week, it also just kind of gave me a pause and gave me some time, like I was able to reflect on what I really want our homeschool to look like. So I have a really detailed video going through all of it. It is also linked down below, but we made some big changes. We are still using the main components of Build Your Library, but we have definitely taken some things out, put some things in, reworked the schedule a bunch. So with all those new components, we did a full week of it last week. So last week of October, we tried it out and it went really well. I feel like all of us were able to enjoy kind of like deep diving into some subjects a little bit more and not feeling the rush of like, oh, but we still have like 10 other subjects that we need to get done by the end of the day. And we could just kind of go into it. We're also able to incorporate some family subjects, which I will talk about later. And that went really well. I know my oldest is 8th grade, but family life is such a huge, important thing for our family and why we're homeschooling all of it. Being able to kind of get back to some family subjects has been really nice. Let me move stuff around on the table and we're going to talk about books. So we do kind of morning books, and we've even been able to start pulling my 8th grader in on that. He's been really on task and getting in here on time. So he's been able to be a part of our morning books. It kind of changes every day. I try to have some kind of a picture book. We were doing some reference books, but then like this past week, I was able to include some like Halloween type things. I had been borrowing this from the library, and this is a DK on this day, a history of the world in 366 days. And we are really enjoying this. So this is just a little example. We don't school every single day of the week. We don't try to catch up on days that we've missed. We just kind of continue. So I had been trying it from the library because things like this generally have not worked well in the past. But it is working well right now. So I think that I am going to be purchasing this. And then to really get into books. So my 8th grader had a fantastic reading month. He finished Across the Pond by Joy McCullough. So this is about a girl who moves from San Diego to Scotland. Oh, that's right. She wants to be homeschooled, so her parents say yes, but you need to have some kind of like extracurricular kind of thing. And so she joins a bird watching group, but then there's kind of a friendship fallout there. So I think overall my son really enjoyed it. He did give it a 4.5, which is great. And I am so happy that he was able to read about a homeschooled kid. Definitely not a lot of representation in books about homeschoolers, especially in good ways. So this is a good one. And then he is currently reading The Story That Cannot Be Told by J. Casper Kramer. So let's see, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He has 9 days left in it, which I think is correct. Doing good. I always tab books. It just gives my kids like a good visual of how much they need to read. Forget. I think that this is... Oh yeah, that's right. This is set in Romania during communism. So it looks like the main girl in this, she loves to tell stories, but her parents get worried about her and so send her to live with her grandparents away from communist eyes. And even though there's more stories to collect here, there's still some trouble to be had. So overall, I think that he is enjoying it. We were supposed to read together aloud Watership Down. We did not make it that far, and then we had to kind of change plans, and I got the graphic novel of it, and he continued to read it on his own. I am working through it. I just haven't devoted enough time to it, but I enjoy it when I pick it up. I think that he really enjoyed it as well, and it definitely gave him, I don't know, just a little bit of a better understanding of the story without it being quite so wordy and really, really long. I mean, just the graphic novel itself is really long. And so I think that this was a really enjoyable way for us to read it. And then our current read aloud is Gathering Blue by Lois Lowry. So this is the second book after The Giver. We read The Giver in, I guess when he was in 7th grade, and really liked it. And I have the rest of the series. And so this is kind of where we're making a little bit of changes to how Build Your Library is written, just because we want to kind of pick and choose some books that we might want to read. I am still going to be picking a lot of the Build Your Library books. We have them. A lot of them my kids are interested in, and I think that they are going to be really great reads. But also, we want to pick up some books that we just want to read. So we are currently reading that, maybe a couple days behind. I'm not keeping us on a super strict schedule anymore, but we're liking it. Now for my 4th grader, there was a book that was assigned for Build Your Library and he did not want to read it. So he decided to pick What Was D-Day. He loved it, 5 stars. My kids absolutely love anything World War II. So as I throw it, that was a good book. He is currently reading I Juan de Pareja by Elizabeth Borton de Trevino, and he is really enjoying it. It's about a slave for the Spanish painter Diego Velázquez. And so he's really enjoying this book. I think the only hiccup is that the assigned readings are really long. And this book, I mean, it's a pretty dense chapter book, so he is not quite reading it at the speed that I have tabbed it, so I might go back and kind of re-tab it so that it's easier chunks for him to do, but he is really enjoying it. Then we have read The One and Only Ivan. This was amazing. We loved it. 5 stars all around. We did the audio, which was really, really good. And so I think, again, this is kind of where we want to have the space to kind of play around a little bit. We have, I think there's like 3 other books now in this world, and we would like to have that opportunity to pick more of them up and read them. So I think that probably after Christmas, we're going to try to do, I think the next one is The One and Only Bob. So that will be fun. All right. And then we had been doing like a literature book, read aloud book for homeschool. And then also like a read aloud book at nighttime. And we're not doing that. We are just going to be focusing on one. If we pick it up at night and read through it faster than what I have assigned, that's totally fine. But our main focus is just going to be one read aloud book. Let's see, when we finished The One and Only Ivan, I think then, yeah, we just picked this one up and really focused on it. And so we finally finished Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. He has watched all the movies, but we haven't really read through the books. He's been around, like when he was a lot younger, as I was reading them to his brother, but he wasn't the main focus. He really, really enjoyed it. And then he decided that for our current read aloud, we want to do Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. So we are actually 140 pages in, writing on the walls, so things are starting to really pick up. And this book, I definitely think, is where things start happening in the book that really don't happen in the movies. And so he's picking up all kinds of extra information about the Harry Potter world, and we are really enjoying it. Let's see. Since some of those books are kind of based off of Build Your Library still, let's just talk about a couple things for Build Your Library. All right, so I have to say it took us a while coming from History Quest and getting into Story of the World. It was our first time using it. It's a very different setup, but I think that overall we are enjoying Story of the World. So we are in Volume 3, Early Modern Times. Let's see, Chapter 16. So we have hit some good things. I don't think that it is as diverse as History Quest, but we're still hitting on some good subjects. I think that it's diverse enough, and we can definitely pull in some other things and talk about things more than just what is in here. Overall, it's going really well. I have switched to the audio. Where did I find the audio? I think on the app Everand, which I am a subscriber to, they had this. And we're using that because, first of all, I have a hard time reading books aloud. And second of all, there are names and places that I don't know how to pronounce correctly. And so I think that's really important to hear the correct pronunciation of some of these words. That is going really well. And then something that we are changing. So we were using all these interactive notebooks and they were going well. It was just not what I had envisioned. We tend to kind of use full pages, which then if you're gluing full pages all the time into these notebooks, kind of defeats the purpose. So for both of my kids, we have just kind of moved over to binders, and it's really working. So you can see this was for my, there we go. This was for my 4th grader, so he colored a picture, and we did a map, and then there's just loose leaf paper as needed. I am toying with the idea that our read aloud that we do every day, having some kind of copy work or dictation work that I pull out, because I do think that's really important, especially dictation work. You need to be able to hear what somebody is saying and write it down. I mean, that goes into high school, college level where you're sitting there in a lecture. I think I need to kind of step that up a little bit. This is my 8th grader, so he did a map all about ocean currents. He really did an amazing job on this world religions profile. He was finishing his study of Christianity, and so filled all of that out, and then did an animal research for a hummingbird. So they do have separate science binders. I think that for the most part, my oldest will just keep it all together. And I think that for my youngest, we will probably still use the separate science notebook. And then, of course, as always, these are a huge hit. I think my 8th grader, just because he's doing a geography course right now, doesn't really have timeline work, which is kind of unfortunate. But I understand. So I don't think he's done really kind of anything into here. But my 4th grader is definitely using it, and we love it. He loves kind of going on to pages that maybe we have some overlap in some of our history and seeing, hey, what else happened during these years? Let me try to find a page. Okay, so this is a really good example. We have these 2 pages here from 1680 to 1689. And a few years ago, we wrote about the Parthenon having damage done to it. But then he has since added in these other things for our history that we're learning this year. So it's just kind of fun. All right, then the last thing that I wanted to talk about is group subjects. So Writer's Workshop is going absolutely fantastic. So for the month of October, I pulled my 8th grader back onto this, and It went amazing. We were able to finish an entire unit in the month, and that was descriptions and instructions. Just this past Friday, they were able to finish publishing their own paper, and they did really, really well with it. So next we are moving on to, fanciful stories. So I think definitely my 4th grader is going to have a lot of fun doing fanciful stories, and I think that my 8th grader will too. We do this first thing in the morning and just spend that time together before they go off onto their separate subjects and do this, and it goes really well so far. And then something that I have really included are family subjects. So every Friday will be family subject day. Now, I was just looking at my schedule for this week, and we actually have a field trip with our co-op this coming Friday. So I don't know how much schoolwork will actually get done on this Friday. Probably not much. So I am going to split these family subjects onto Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and that will work. But this past Friday, we started with music. So I found this curriculum, and I talk about it in that video link down below about all of our changes. And it's Squilt, super quiet, uninterrupted listening time. So we did Meet the Instruments. So we talked about things like dynamics, tempo, instrumentation, rhythm. And then we started just the very beginning of Meet the Instrument cards. So we talked about orchestras and conductors. So that went really, really well. We were able to really kind of spend some time. There's links when I bought the curriculum that I can now access, and they just go to like YouTube videos, but we were able to really spend a lot of time watching those videos, and it was really fun. And then we pulled out this amazing reference book that we have not been able to pick up in a long time, and it's a really, really cool book. So I decided to pull out the story in here about Jackson Pollock. We have not studied him before, so here it is. It's not very long. They're like 3 pages long. But this one was told kind of like if his wife was telling it, and just kind of giving us a little bit of background in like how he worked, everything like that. And then we found a really cool YouTube video kind of talking about his work and how he did it and how it was so different than how art had been done before. So that was a lot of fun. This coming week, we are going to create our own like little replica Jackson Pollock work. And then we just pulled out Sing a Song of Popcorn. This is just a whole collection of poems, and they're all really cute. So I pulled out some Halloween and fall themed poems, and then just some goofy ones as well. So we're going to spend a couple of weeks going through this. I am looking at curriculum for an artist study. I think that I have found one. Blossom and Root Level 4 has a really good artist study. I think that it could last us maybe the rest of this school year and some into the next school year, because we're only doing it like 1 day a week. But I think that that would be really fun to just dive into an artist, and then also kind of play around with some of the techniques that they do. And then I am also looking for a poet study. And this one is where I have not found one yet. The catch up is that I want, kind of spending like a month on each artist and poet, and I want diversity. And that's a little bit hard to find, especially with this. I might double check with Blossom and Root that they don't have kind of a poet study like I'm looking for. But if you know of anything, let me know down in the comments. All right, I think that's it. Kind of everything else is going well. Math is going well. All of our language arts is going well. I think a big thing is that I did pull editor-in-chief off from my 4th graders schedule because I would like to spend 2 days a week doing Beowulf's grammar, just to give a heavier focus on that. And then once we really nail down some of those core grammar things, then pulling editor-in-chief back in to work on that some more. But I think that's it. So as always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like down below, and I will be back for more soon.